Okay, so let's unpack this. Today we're doing a detailed deep dive into an organization that is navigating a truly challenging space.
Oh, absolutely.
They're trying to bridge local community support with these, well, really ambitious global goals. We're
Right.
talking about Helping Hands Global Inc., or HHGI.
Right.
And our mission here is to get past the usual nonprofit docs and really understand their unique approach and, how they manage it all.
And we can set the baseline on that right away because context is everything here.
Yeah,
So HHGI is a Maryland-based 501c public charity. They're actually pretty young, officially recognized in February 2022.
just a couple of years ago.
Exactly. And the IRS classifies them under Human Services, which is code P99.
P99. And that designation is important, isn't it?
Right.
It means they aren't like locked into one tiny niche.
Precisely. That classification gives them a really broad scope for essential human support. It perfectly fits their philosophy.
So they're not just building houses or just handing out food.
Not at all. They're working across a whole spectrum of needs, from,
Yeah.
basic survival all the way to emotional wellness.
And that flexibility, I think, really fuels their geographical ambition. They're rooted in Frederick County, Maryland, but they have this clear dual focus,
Right.
supporting vulnerable people here in the U.S. and running these major projects abroad, specifically in Ghana.
It's a huge vision, and it's clearly driven by, well, by real conviction. Their whole philosophy is, I think, very telling. It's we can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone.
I like that.
And they ground their service in faith, too. They draw inspiration from Proverbs 31.20, that call to, extend a hand to the poor.
So it's compassionate work, but is clearly guided by a very profound belief system.
It is.
That conviction seems to split into two very different pillars of operation. Let's start with the local stuff, the foundational work here in the U.S.
Okay. So the USA mission is heavily centered on youth and education, mostly for high schoolers in Frederick County.
And the main thing that jumps out is the college tours program.
Yes, for juniors and seniors.
Look, a college tour itself isn't revolutionary, right?
Yeah.
But the way they do it feels really strategic. It's about demystifying the whole process.
Totally. For so many students and their families, the applications, the financial aid, it's all so intimidating.
It's a black box.
It is.
Yeah.
So getting them physically on a campus, making it feel real, that just cuts through so much of the anxiety.
And it's properly funded. I saw it's backed by a grant from the Osherman Family Foundation.
Right, which shows they have a solid local strategy. They know how to get that community support.
And beyond just the tours, they seem to really lean into collaboration. It's this idea of partnership, of showing up where they're needed.
Exactly. You see them volunteering with groups like Sleep in Heavenly Peace.
They build beds for kids.
Yeah, they build and deliver beds to children who don't have them, or they'll donate essential supplies like diapers and things to Andrea's house. It shows they're not just stuck in their own lane.
And then, crucially, they also have scholarship programs.
For low-income and high-achieving students, it directly tackles those financial barriers that just make college feel impossible for some kids.
So that's the local impact. It's clear, tangible, and, achievable.
Okay, so if that's the solid base, then the international scope.
Hmm.
That's where the scale just explodes.
Right.
Now we're shifting to recurring missions, mostly in Ghana, in places like Aswaba and Adeso, and they're planning to expand to Guatemala, Kenya, Nigeria.
And this is where that big logistical question comes up for me. How does a pretty young charity from Maryland go from organizing a local college tour to, say, managing an infrastructure project 5,000 miles away?
That is the core question, and the answer is in their very structured approach. The support is incredibly comprehensive.
Okay.
It starts with the basics: food, clothing, supplies. They're often targeting 300 or more families with every single mission.
But that's immediate aid. It's vital, but it doesn't create long-term change.
Exactly. And that's where the infrastructure projects come in. They are tackling the root problem.
Like clean water.
Like clean water. They install boreholes to give communities a reliable source. I mean, that is a huge engineering and financial commitment.
It's massive.
And they're looking ahead to solar infrastructure, too. Everything from portable panels to eventually building entire solar farms for clean energy.
That jump from a bag of rice to a solar grid, that takes some serious technical planning.
It absolutely does. And we'll get to the leadership team that makes that possible. But it's not all big machinery. They also do educational support, bringing school furniture and supplies to schools that have nothing.
And then there are these programs that address kind of quality of life. I saw the home environment program for the elderly.
Yes. That's about improving sleeping conditions, recognizing that dignity and rest are just fundamental to health.
And what about the support for mothers?
The maternity and teenage mother support. That's about providing trade skills, training, so these young women have a real path to supporting themselves.
Okay, so if that wasn't already a complex enough operation, we have to talk about one of the most critical parts of their work.
Their medical advocacy,
Yes,
this might be the single most shocking and defining part of what they do.
I agree.
They help families who are struggling with medical bills abroad, and they have a special focus on mothers who are being subjected to something called discharge detaining.
It sounds awful.
Yeah.
It's basically being held hostage, right?
Is a much more accurate description. In a lot of under-resourced hospitals, if a new mother can't pay her bill right away, the hospital will legally or quasi-legally prevent her from leaving,
With her baby.
often with her newborn infant. They're essentially imprisoned in the hospital until someone clears that debt.
So HHGI is stepping in not just to pay a bill, but to literally restore someone's freedom. That's an incredibly high-stakes intervention.
It is. Their goal is to make sure these women and their babies get home without this catastrophic debt hanging over them. It's really about justice.
You see that same spirit in their Guatemala Legacy Project too, right? Building homes from the ground up.
Absolutely. Lasting personal change, one foundation at a time.
They're really working on two totally different ends of the spectrum. Massive infrastructure and intensely personal liberty.
Immediate relief and long-term sustainability, yeah, all at the same time.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit because this next part gets to the real heart of their philosophy. This is where they feel different from a lot of other charities. We have to talk about the Power of Touch program.
This is where they make that leap from, physical aid to addressing deep emotional and psychological needs.
So it's not just a nice phrase.
No. The Power of Touch is an intentional therapeutic program. It's about stress relief, rehabilitation, and caregiver support.
And what does that actually look like? Are we talking about massage?
It includes things like massage, yeah, and physical therapy type support, but also workshops on compassionate, therapeutic touch and emotional care. It's clinical, but it's, as you can imagine, rooted in a really deep sense of empathy.
And the origin story for this is it's incredibly personal.
It is. It comes directly from the president, Nona Mensa. After she lost her mother to cancer, she talks about being in this deep state of grief and having a massage.
And in that moment,
She found this profound sense of peace. It was a visceral feeling.
she realized something vital then, didn't she?
Absolutely. She realized that touch is this nonverbal language. It communicates empathy and support in a way that words just can't.
It bypasses all the noise.
Right. And she recognized the science behind it, that intentional touch can trigger the release of oxytocin, the cuddle hormone. It promotes comfort and reduces stress. It's about feeling supported when you can't even articulate what you need.
That's was beautiful, to turn such personal pain into a program to help other people.
It is. And HHGI uses a really broad definition of grief for who can access this service.
Yeah, it's not just about death.
Not at all. That's critical. They talk about what they call silent burdens.
Violent burdens, like what?
It could be sickness, abuse, the stress of a divorce, losing your job, even just the disorientation of moving to a new place.
All things that cause a kind of grief.
Exactly. So they use professional therapeutic touch to help people cope with those stressors that so often get ignored when organizations are just focused on food and shelter.
This just highlights the incredible challenge of their operation. They're managing solar contracts in West Africa and at the same time running therapeutic wellness programs in the U.S.
Which means you need a leadership team that's just as diverse. You need people who can handle massive engineering projects and deeply personal clinical care.
And their leadership team is the blueprint for how they do it.
It's a very intentional mix of clinical, business, and even youth representation. It's all there.
Let's start with the founders. You have Nona Mensa, who came from a decade in banking and finance before becoming a massage therapist.
And that dual background is just so strategic. Her banking experience gives her the financial management skills you need to run a global charity. But then, the therapeutic training means she can inject real informed empathy into the programs. The Power of Touch isn't just an add-on, it's a core professional service because of her.
And her husband, Dr. Michael T. Mensa, the vice president, he brings the clinical and strategic side. He's a board-certified internist, has a Master of Public Health.
And he's getting a physician executive MBA. That resume is just perfectly tailored for bridging global health gaps.
How so?
Well, the internist part understands patient care. The MPH focuses on population health. the
Mm.
big picture. And the MBA gives him the systems thinking to manage resources and partnerships across continents.
So his insight into that discharge detaining issue isn't just academic.
No, it's from his hands-on experience at places like Akimoto Hospital. It informs their most difficult interventions.
And then you look at the board and you see this incredible corporate rigor. The secretary, Diane Riley, is a leader in cybersecurity and IT.
Which is invaluable for a global nonprofit. I mean, think about it. Donations, volunteer data, cross-border logistics, all of that relies on secure digital platforms. She provides that framework.
And a treasurer, Katrina Akita, her background is just wild. CEO of a design-build firm, 17 years in oil and gas analysis, a master's in physics and chemistry.
You want to talk about analytical depth? That's it. Running a design build company means you understand supply chains and project execution.
The exact skills for building boreholes in Ghana.
The exact skills. Her experience in the energy sector provides the fiscal rigor and the forecasting you need to manage those huge infrastructure projects effectively.
So it's really clear this is not an organization running on good intentions alone. It's structured with high-level corporate and clinical expertise.
And they're looking to the future. That's where Maya Mensa, the youth liaison, comes in. She's the youngest board member, a certified nonprofit professional.
And she makes sure that youth mentorship and intergenerational service are always part of the plan.
Yes. That whole alignment, from corporate finance to youth engagement, that's what lets a grassroots group handle everything from diapers in Maryland to medical crises in Ghana.
So if we were to try and summarize the core identity of HHGI, what would it be?
I'd say it's this. They are a highly structured, Maryland-rooted grassroots organization with a truly comprehensive international reach.
Right.
And they specialize not just in material aid, water, electricity, school supplies, but also in those essential, often overlooked forms of care, like restoring dignity and providing therapeutic emotional healing.
And for anyone listening who finds this mission as compelling as we do, the sources lay out 4 clear ways to get involved.
Right. First is donate, a one-time gift, recurring support, whatever works. Second is volunteer. You can help with local missions or even travel on the international trips.
Third is partner. This is for institutions, schools, hospitals, other NGOs to collaborate on projects.
And finally, advocate and share, just spreading the word about their unique mission.
They really do prove that aid has to cover both the physical world and our emotional landscape.
And that brings us to the final thought we want to leave you with, something to mull over.
Go for it.
So think about the two extremes of HHGI's work. They provide massive infrastructure like boreholes and solar farms, which takes millions of dollars in complex engineering. And they provide the power of touch to restore dignity to someone grieving or to free a mother held hostage in a hospital.
Okay.
So the question is, what is truly harder to provide? Is it the massive physical resource, or is it that consistent, intentional effort that's required to restore a person's dignity and heal them emotionally in a time of crisis?
That's the challenge they've taken on, and maybe we can challenge you, the listener, to look around your own community, find a way to contribute either time or resources that addresses that unspoken grief, that lack of dignity, and helps bridge that gap between material need and emotional healing.